Did Real Broker live up to the hype? Were there any surprises that I did not know were going to happen in my time here at Real Broker? Let's discuss. What's going on? It's your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor, Marvin. And for today's video, I am going to share my candid experience being an agent here at Real Brokerage for what has been a little over a year. And I'm excited to kind of talk about some of the things that I've experienced and if this place would be the right fit for an agent like you. If you feel at the end of this video that this has been helpful in making your decision on whether or not Real Brokerage could be a good fit for you, please book a call at the link pinned in the comment or scan this QR code here and we can book a time to chat. All right, so let's talk about it. And I want to be extremely candid and extremely clear and extremely concise in my experience here at Real Brokerage. So let's talk about why I joined Real Brokerage in the first place. If you've been following this channel for a very long time or even a short period of time, you'll know that I made the leap from eXp Realty, which was another cloud-based brokerage, to Real Broker a little over a year ago. I was at that brokerage for about 3 years, and the reason that I was even there in the first place was because I wanted to have more autonomy and agency over my day. I didn't want to work in an office environment. That was just not the type of agent that I wanted to be. And so the cloud-based model was a really good fit for me. And that's where I feel like I've been thriving at. And so my experience first started in the cloud-based world at a place like eXp. And just to briefly say some of the pain points that I discussed on my channel as to why eXp no longer was a good fit for me, and I was there for 3 years. I was a certified mentor, all that jazz, was because I was looking for something a little bit different. Culture matters when you decide to represent a particular team's jersey, right? The experience playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, for example, is going to be very, very different than the Portland Trailblazers, to use an analogy. Where you hang your jersey does truly matter, and the culture that that team presents to you and their value proposition can make the decision either a difficult one or an easy one as an agent. And for me, joining Real Brokerage was a no-brainer decision on the surface. The splits were better. I get 85% of the pie versus 80% at eXp. The cap is lower. Instead of a $16,000 cap that I was paying at my former brokerage, I'm now paying a $12,000 cap. And all that means for newer agents is how quickly can I get to 100% of my commission? So when the brokerage gets their $12,000, then I get 100% commission for the remainder of that year. But the last thing was the fact that there was no monthly fees. And I think that that's something that's very incredibly important, especially if you're a newer agent or if you're a veteran agent that has been having some struggles getting out of the blocks. Not paying a monthly fee can be a game changer, especially when you have light bill, water bill, cell phone bill, food, things of that nature. The most important things that you have to take care of are your four walls. So for me, it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to be paying to hang my license at a particular brokerage. So the model here at Real, there's no monthly fees, and the only time that you do pay something is when you have your first 3 transactions of that calendar year. They take out a $250 advance from your first 3 transactions. After that, they don't take anything else out. So I thought that that was really important to me. But what were some of those intangible things that I didn't know I would experience until I actually joined Real Broker? And I'm going to share some very valid concerns that I think is going to be important to you if you're considering the move. So the technology here goes without saying. It's some of the best technology that I've ever experienced in this industry. As I mentioned, I was at a cloud-based brokerage, but I started my career in a brick and mortar brokerage. And I think for me personally, because I'm still considered a millennial, right? And so I'm from that generation where we started out with an old school way of things, but technology really, truly, like, I feel like if you're a millennial, you honestly got the best of both worlds. You got the experience, what life was like before technology took over, and you're still nimble enough to understand the nuances and why technology can be an amazing blessing in how you do your business, but also can seem like a burden if you're not super tech savvy, right? Like some folks in the older generation, can be. They don't really embrace technology as much as the younger generation, at least for the most part, right? And so I think that the technology here at Real the Reason platform. Oh my goodness. The Work Vivo page, which is our homepage that we all communicate on. It just allows me and the other agents that I partner with to do business really and truly at the speed of light. There was nothing worse at my previous brokerages than having to go and email this department for this issue, to call this department for another issue, and nothing was centralized. And for me, if I'm at a cloud-based brokerage and I need to get a deal signed, a contract signed, or I need to review with the broker a particular language that I'm interested in putting in my contract, I needed to be able to reach someone immediately, at least within the same business day. And I've been able to do that here at Real Brokerage. At other places, unfortunately, especially if they're a smaller brokerage or a brokerage that's kind of too big, if you will, many agents at other places that I've talked to literally cannot get a managing broker on the phone at all. And there's in the middle of a transaction. And these are for my veterans. So when I've had conversations with newer agents that don't know how to reach the chain of command when they have an issue, it was a very huge pain point being at a brokerage where things were just all over the place, right? So here at Real, everything is completely centralized in our one system, which is called Reason. Transactions are uploaded and reviewed at the speed of light. Before I did this recording, I literally sent a referral to one of my agent partners, and I was able to generate that paperwork, send that referral out, and now I'm going to close some business for a client that I've never met in person. And I think that being able to, operate your business, whether you're working with a transaction coordinator or you're doing all of your paperwork on your own, being at a brokerage like Real, it truly has given me the need to, I've truly been able to eliminate the need for a transaction coordinator because I'm able to get documents signed lightning speed. It's kind of like the way that the technology and the AI is set up here at Real using the Reason and our AI assistant called Leo, which is kind of Real's version of Chat GPT baked into the software. I mean, I didn't need a transaction coordinator any longer. If there is something missing from a document, the AI will let me know. If I need to go back and get something corrected, the managing brokers are able to see my paperwork in real time and let me know what corrections I need to make on paperwork, or if I need to update something, a particular form. It just gets things done a lot faster being at a place like Real compared to other brokerages. But they say all the time, technology is as good as the individual that uses it. And I can say here at Real, the program is so user-friendly that you would be hard-pressed to be in a situation where you don't know how to navigate things. Because every single week, Monday through Friday, there is an onboarding training class that happens here at Real. In addition to that, there are mastermind calls every single day for every single aspect of our business. And for someone who's been in the business for a semi-long time, I still dive into these calls, and they're all done through Zoom, which I think is incredible because I can ask a question in real time. I can interact with the teacher and say, hey, well, what about this particular nuanced situation that is just specific to my market? How would you suggest handling that? And being able to get sage advice and guidance from high performing agents on an intimate Zoom call, where if I was at any other brokerage, especially ones that have kind of a silo kind of model, unless I knew that individual or I was in that person's upline or downline, I wouldn't be able to get any support or help from that individual. And I won't even talk about if I was at a franchise brokerage where literally if there is another office that I want to call, or let's say I'm on another part of town and I'm at a brokerage that's a franchise model and each individual office is their own kind of standalone. I can't tell you guys how in my experience I have been told by a broker at a different office that, hey, you need to go back to your office if you want to get help with that specific question. And so if I was having those issues and those pain points, I can only imagine an agent that is not as comfortable going to management with questions about a specific transaction. I don't deal with any of that here at Real Brokerage. When they say this culture is work hard, be kind, they really, truly mean that. I haven't run across an agent yet that I thought was like overly snarky or passive aggressive and not really truly feeling like they want to help me. Everyone here has been incredibly helpful and receptive, regardless of who's my sponsor, who isn't my sponsor. Like, we don't have that culture here at Real. We don't have that, well, go to your franchise if you have a question, even though we're rocking the same jersey. Well, you're at that office on the north side, so you need to go to your office on the south side and get your question answered. That just doesn't happen. And I think that that's incredibly important. So I want to be candid and I want to talk about some of the challenges as well, right? We've talked about the economics. There's a ton of videos on YouTube that I and other individuals have talked about. So if you're watching this video, you probably already know how the splits work and how all that stuff goes. But I want to be that agent that keeps it 100. I don't call myself your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor for nothing. And that's because I really, truly feel like you watching this video, you're part of my family, if you will, especially if you're subscribed. And you're like cousin nil, right? And I feel like I wouldn't be a good brother, uncle, if I didn't give you the real of some of my challenges with Real and how I have navigated those challenges when they have presented itself, right? So I would say here at Real, we have a similar model as far as the revenue share model and how all of that works. The revenue share model here at Real is very similar to other brokerages that have a revenue share model. And what does revenue share mean? Should you decide watching this video, hey, Marvin, I've watched a lot of your videos. I'd like to join Real and I'd like to be in alignment directly with you as my sponsor. That doesn't necessarily mean that as your sponsor that you really owe me anything, right? I just simply helped influence your decision to join Real Brokerage. So for helping influence your decision to join Real Brokerage, from the 85-15, where you keep your 85% of the commission, from the 15% that Real gets, a very small portion of that goes to me as the sponsor. And it's not anything that I necessarily live or die for, right? I'm truly in a position to where I enjoy what it is that I do. And if I never sell another house again, I'm good. That's a blessing to be able to say that. And it's a fortunate position that I find myself in. So I have the time to pour into other agents and share some of the tips and strategies that have helped me in my business. Granted, I'm not like a ultra high producer. I get busy, but I just feel like in my experience, I've got 25 years of sales and marketing experience, broken multiple sales records in various industries. I know a thing or two about communication. That's what my education is based on. My education is all on how to communicate and to be as effective of a communicator as possible, right? If and when an agent has success and has a closing, great. But unfortunately, every agent doesn't pan out that way. And that's kind of one of the other challenges. But the primary challenge I would say is with the revenue share model. I get it here at Real Brokerage. They don't want a bunch of recruiters here just literally telling other agents why they should join Real, but they're actually not actually doing any business, right? There are other brokerages that are okay with having individuals that are connected to them that are really truly recruiters for that firm. And here at Real, you actually have to produce business in order to benefit from the revenue share model. Now, with the revenue share model here, as I mentioned, I get a very small piece of that 15% that the brokerage gets. But, frankly, it can be a bit of a struggle, right? Especially when you pour into an agent, support them. You're not obligated per se to pour into an agent. But here at Real, if you decided that you wanted to join because of my videos and my content, I want to see you win, right? Because I'm an investor here in Real. I own stock in the company, and I want to know that I'm helping in my little small way to build Real Brokerage up, which was the case when I was at my previous brokerage that I owned stock in at the time. So when those situations do happen where an agent doesn't pan out, it can be a little discouraging, at least for me, because I know what I give and I know what I pour into an agent. And unfortunately, the gift and the curse with a thing like YouTube is that individuals are coming into my world because they watch my content, but they know more about me than I know about them. Let me put it like that. So I think that it's important for me to have conversations with individuals to talk about what Real can and can't do for you. but I don't know what's going on with that individual. I'm not in their living room. I'm not actually sitting down and talking to them because we are a cloud-based brokerage. So all I can do is make sure that if they have a question, if they need support in some way, I want to be essentially the cheat code for every agent that joins through me and to help them get business done quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I've been able to do that for the majority of my agent partners, but there are some use cases where frankly, they didn't work out. Either it was a disconnect in expectations or that I didn't communicate a certain area that they needed to understand, or maybe I didn't ask enough questions, and that's something that I'm working through. But there are certain instances where it's a brand new agent, right? And those agents, admittedly or not, will need a little bit more hand holding than they might suspect because it is a lot to being a real estate professional. What MLS do you need to tap into on a regular basis? Where can you find forms when necessary? How do you even approach a client to suggest to them that they may be a good fit to buy or sell working with you as an agent? All of those questions, as common sense as it may feel, if you've been in the business for longer than 2 or 3 years, can be a complete blank stare for a brand new agent. So for me personally, when brand new agents reach out to me, I ask those tough questions now. I say, hey, look, you're a brand new agent. How do you feel about joining a formal team? That way you learn what you need to learn because you might be in a state that I'm not in because I'm only here in Georgia and I'm licensed as well as South Carolina, but I don't personally have a formal team structure, right? I'm a producing agent. It's just actually having a team, at least for me, was not enough juice for the squeeze, if you will. It just wasn't where I felt like I was my highest and best self for those individuals. So I would suggest to a brand new agent, yes, I would love to be your sponsor, but I would also strongly suggest that you consider joining a team. That's something that I didn't do at my time here at Real when I first got here. And so many agents, I guess, that were watching my content from when I was talking about my former brokerage, when they heard that I made the move to Real, they, of course, came with me and was like, hey, Marv, I see that you moved to Real. I'd like to talk about what Real could potentially do with my business. And it turned out to be a good fit, and they ended up joining. But so many more individuals that are on the newer side joined, and I didn't do the best job of conveying the importance of joining an actual team, especially if you're brand new, whether you think you needed a team or not, right? I mean, I don't want to say I forced individuals to join a team, but I strongly advised them to consider joining a team because frankly, a team is going to give you the hand holding that you need. They're going to have a lot of resources that a new agent would get a lot of value from, and they would be an easy pass, especially if you're in another state, to be able to do the things that you need to do at a higher level. Now, if you were a veteran agent and you decided to talk about alignment here at Real with me, it's a lot of an easier conversation, but although I wouldn't suggest to a veteran agent to join a team if they're solo because frankly they don't need it, I love the fact that here at Real Brokerage, we have what's called a co-sponsorship model. So in my experience, when I was at a brokerage that required you or that suggested you have a sponsor, I picked an individual that I'd never met in person that was in a completely different state. So all of the resources that that individual put out there was specific for one type of market, and I'm in a market halfway across the United States. So it became a huge pain point for me to not actually get resources and guidance from this individual that was my sponsor that was relevant to my market and the way that I wanted to do my business. And unfortunately, it caused me and that individual to butt heads, right? And so here at Real, what I love is that we have the co-sponsorship model. And what that does is, let's say an individual is in Louisiana, they're watching the video right now. They love what I say and how how excited I am about Real Brokerage. They want to join, all that jazz. But we are a cloud-based brokerage. So outside of the video calls, they may not know how to interact with other agents that are in their area with Real. So in those instances, what I always do in the majority of cases is that I suggest that they co-sponsor with someone else that's actually local to their market. Yes, you're a solo agent. Yes, you don't want to join a team because in your instance, you don't need to join a team. But I genuinely am of the mindset that 50% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape. So I'd much rather that individual have me as one of their sponsors, but also have someone locally that they can connect with that's more or less the role of an ad hoc mentor. So as that individual may need guidance and help with paperwork or suggestions on stuff that's relative to their local market, but they will still have the ability to connect with me. We can jam out, talk through certain scenarios and strategies and all that jazz, because as your sponsor, I want to see you win. So I'm always going to be available if you have any questions. That's the nature of the brokerage that we're at. But I also want to ensure that that individual will have the local support that's needed, networking events that are happening locally, meetups, things of that nature from a local standpoint. So I will generally connect that individual to someone locally that has the heart of a teacher, right? And so that was something that I didn't do initially. Individuals wanted to join here at Real and have me as their sponsor, and I was like, okay, great, cool. But because they did not have the support that they needed locally for those ad hoc situations, they struggled, and unfortunately, they no longer aligned here at Real. But frankly, there were no other pain points that I can say that I've experienced here at Real. Everything that I had seen online and everything that I've talked about online specific to Real has actually come to fruition and better. I mean, we've had so many cool things happen here at Real, such as the Real debit card, which is an amazing way as an agent that no other brokerage is doing, that allows you to get paid lightning fast from a transaction. It's a seamless technology situation that syncs up with the Rezen dashboard that I mentioned earlier, which is our one-stop hub for all things that have to do with the transaction process. And just being able to have a cool debit card that has my brokerage brand on it, I thought was pretty incredible, right? Some of the other great things that I've seen that I wasn't expecting. Here at Real, we have our own in-house mortgage company called One Real Mortgage. So if a client is looking to get pre-approved, I, as the realtor, if I have my loan officer license, I have the ability to get paid on both sides of the transaction, representing them as the buyer's agent, but I'm also able to get paid on the loan side of things if you have your loan officer license. So because we have our own in-house loan company called One Real Mortgage, that has opened up an additional stream of income for tons of agents that have their loan officer license, and it allows them in a very compliant way to get paid on all sides of the transaction. That was something that I wasn't aware of when I joined. We just had dropped that like shortly after I joined the brokerage, and I thought that that was incredible and that was powerful. And I just feel like if you're a loan officer and you get your real estate license, now you can get paid on both transactions. If you're a realtor and you get your loan officer license, now you can get paid on both sides of the transactions. But if we're concerned about compensation, and if we're, as an agent representing a buyer, if we're not going to get our full, percentage of compensation, well, now if I help them with the pre-approval process and they decide to go with One Real Mortgage, I'm going to be able to make up whatever I'm losing on the buyer agent side. And it just allows me to be able to still do my job at the highest level possible and still get paid what I'm worth. So I think that that was an incredible surprise when I joined the brokerage, and that plus the debit card, I thought it's just like, man, this brokerage can't get any better, right? And I would say something recently that took place that, may be considered a challenge for, some agents, I guess, is that our president, Sharon Srivatsa, recently transitioned to become a board member here at Real Brokerage. So if you know anything about Real, Sharon Srivatsa is like, he is the face of Real. I mean, I would go as far as to say he is our LeBron James. When he joined the company, he helped, I think triple the number of agents here, because that guy has been on a tear for the last few years, marketing and doing so many conferences and just talking. I mean, he's just been flying the Real Brokerage flag, right? And I got tons of value from his content, his podcast, all that jazz. And so him moving into a board role, that might be a challenge if you are the type of agent that joined Real or interested in joining Real because of Sharon. I mean, he's still going to be around He's just not going to be as active in the day-to-day marketing of the company because now he's going to be a board member. And so I think that certain agents, unfortunately, when they join a brokerage for a specific brand, like at your Berkshires, I think the guy's name is Guy Bluffini. I forget. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, or if you're Keller Williams and it's Gary Keller, or Sirhan, Ryan Sirhan. I mean, a lot of agents join brokerages because of the individual that's behind that brokerage. But I feel like you have to realize that if anything were to happen to that individual for whatever reason, then your identity as an agent may feel like it's gone. Like, oh my goodness, Gary is no longer with Keller Williams. I'm not going to be successful. Wherever you go, there you are, right? So I didn't join Real Brokerage because of Sharon Srivatsa. He has been an amazing asset with his advice. His deal of the week has been something that he came up with that has completely changed the way that I market to my buyers. And he's still going to be around. And here at Real, all of the keynotes and all of the things that he has spoken and talked through are always going to be in the Real Academy and available for agents to listen to. It may not be any new stuff that he does, but he still is going to be at a lot of our local corporate events, our live events that we have, or we have 2 big conferences that happen here at Real. And he's still going to be there for the foreseeable future. And I'm excited about that. But there are some agents that may find it a challenge, being that they don't get to see and talk to him on a day-to-day basis. And so if that agent is you, then Real Brokerage may not be a good fit for you. But I personally believe that you have to believe enough in yourself that exactly what you need to grow your business is already within you. And if some perceived guru or some mastermind or some coach helps you uncover that thing that's within you, then great. But don't depend on that for your business to move forward, and I think you'll be just fine as an agent. So let me know in the comments below, what has been your experience with Real Brokerage on the good side or not so great side? What are some of the things that you may have heard or some of the pain points you may have experienced if you have considered a brokerage like Real, or if you were here and you decided to go somewhere else? I'd love to keep the conversation going in the comments below, but personally speaking, I'm not going anywhere. I think that Real Brokerage is as perfect of a brokerage as it can be for an individual that wants complete agency over their business. They don't want to be told that they have to schlep into an office at 9 a.m. because they have other businesses or they're a single parent or whatever the case is, and they want to be able to get the information that they need in quick, fast, and in a hurry. I think if you want to be at a brokerage that gives you one of the best compensation packets around, better than any other cloud-based brokerage, trust me, I've done the research. You get the bigger splits here, you get the lower caps here, but you also have the ability to build a revenue share business. And that's simply helping other agents win. Like the agents that I've helped win here at Real, the compensation that I get comes directly from Real. I don't have to pay me because they joined the brokerage and they had, awesome success. I just want them to go crush, and everything else will take care of itself. But the cool thing about this thing is each one teach one is an incredible way to grow your business. So any hacks that I've learned in my business, I shared with anybody here at the brokerage. And if they just so happen to be an agent that I sponsor, they rip off and duplicate what I'm doing, and they share that information with other agents. I mean, it turns into the nicest MLM that I've ever been a part of. MLMs tend to have a negative connotation to it, but I feel like every business, every brokerage that has employees, everyone's recruiting. Some just don't call it that, right? But if you just get your license today, trust and believe within a few days, you're going to get called by some brokers that's out there that wants you to be a part of their team and wants you to hang your jersey with them. I feel like here at Real, because of the culture and the mantra of working hard, being kind, you can be rest assured as an agent that whomever is sponsoring you, if it's me, for example, or someone else, we are still in the trenches. We are still producing. It is a requirement to continue to produce if you want to enjoy the benefits of the revenue share. So for me personally, I want to know that I'm sponsored by someone that's getting after it on a daily basis, that's bumping their head and learning things in their business, and hopefully able to share that knowledge with all of us as real agents, because that's what's going to help us all as a brokerage get better, get sharper, and get faster. All right, until the next video, before you go, I want you to check out one of these 2 videos here, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.